If you are someone who is thinking about making a Roth conversion, but you're not really sure entirely what they are, or if you just want to learn more about the benefits of a Roth conversion, today's video is for you. I'm going to break down the what, why, where, and when, and how of how a Roth conversion works. All of this to say, this is not a recommendation. This is not advice to do a Roth conversion. In fact, if you are considering doing a Roth conversion, this might make a lot of sense to have a conversation with a financial advisor or a tax professional. And while that sounds self-serving, this is definitely something that you don't want to trip any tax wires on. I'll get to that a little later in the video, but let's first just start with what a Roth conversion is. And it's really as simple as turning a pre-tax dollar into a post-tax dollar. Now, what does that mean? So if I have my traditional IRA or if I have a 401k, that account represents money that has not been taxed by the government yet. In order to move that account over to after-tax dollars, I have to take present-day tax liability on that account, right? So let's use a specific example. You are someone that is recently retired. You had a 401k of $1 million. And you roll that over to your IRA after you retire. You want to move a portion of this over to the Roth IRA for some of the benefits that come with Roth IRAs, but you're not really sure how that works. So it's as simple as you say, I'm gonna choose, for this example, $200,000, and I'm gonna roll that over into my Roth IRA. Now, what's important to know here is that that $200,000 will represent your income for that year. So if you're in retirement and you're currently making $60,000 off of your Social Security, or if you're making whatever amount here, know that the amount that you roll or convert over to a Roth IRA will be added to your taxable income. Okay, so that's the example, that's the what. So why would someone do this? So the why is really just based around the Roth IRA in itself. I've made another video kind of sharing some of the benefits of the Roth IRA, but three of the main benefits that I'm going to give you here are going to be really the majority of those reasons. So the first is going to be the Roth IRA comes with tax-free withdrawals. So as long as the account has been open for 5 years and you're older than 59 and a half years old, every single dollar of that Roth IRA is able to be withdrawn without penalty or without taxation. If you need to access those dollars before that 5-year timeline or before you're 59 and a half years old, do know that the contribution that you've made to this account is able to be withdrawn tax and penalty free. It's just when you get into that earnings portion where you can get into big trouble. So know that in terms of the first benefit. The second benefit is that there's no RMDs, required minimum distributions, that come with a Roth IRA. So unlike the 401k or unlike your traditional IRA, you have all full autonomy over when you're going to withdraw this money. So if we compare that again to the pre-tax account like a 401k, the government tells you when you're going to start withdrawing this money, and they base that off your life expectancy. This is what's known as a required minimum distribution. It currently starts at 73, and in the year 2033, this age bumps up to 75 years old. So that's the second benefit. Third benefit, and literally final benefit, is at the end of your life when you pass away, whoever receives your accounts is going to have much less of a headache with an after-tax account. And the reason is, and I've made a video on this as well, is that any account that has that pre-tax feature to it is going to come with a bit of a tax time bomb, as long as they're not your spouse, as long as they're not a minor, as long as they're not someone who is within 10 years age of you or has a disability. So again, check out that video if you have a chance, but kind of the Spark Notes version of it is once your child, who's, call it 25 years old, receives your IRA or your 401k, they're gonna have 10 years to withdraw this money. A lot of times this is when kids are in their 30s or 40s starting to make a good amount of income, and this is only going to add to their income and push them into higher tax brackets, okay? So those are the three reasons that the why here in terms of why someone might consider making a Roth conversion. Where, and this is kind of a strange question for this one, but the where this money comes from is simply from your traditional IRA to your Roth IRA. You can't actually make a conversion from your 401k directly to the Roth IRA. It has to go into that traditional pre-tax account first, and then you can convert it over to the post-tax Roth IRA. A lot of times we see clients like to take these in smaller portions over the course of several years just to balance out that tax liability, but that's important to know. One kind of, I don't want to call it a tip, but one thing to consider here is that whenever you make this conversion, you're going to owe that amount of tax, right? And something that we talk about with folks is if you're able to pay for that tax liability in cash or some outside account, it's just going to allow you to let your money keep compounding over in that Roth account just because we have a larger amount. So that's something to think about. So let's move on to when. Okay, so when we should do this is a bit challenging, and that's why I say it's very important to have this conversation with your financial advisor. But a time that I'd at least have you consider it is right after you retire. And here's the reason why. Is right after you retire, let's say you retire at 62 years old, you're probably just getting off the highest earning income year of your life, or at least one of the highest income earning years of your life, and you're gonna move into a lower tax bracket. So if I could use a specific example, let's say you're currently at the end of your career in the 32% tax bracket, you retire, you're now in the 22% tax bracket. You're now going to have that option to pay that conversion tax liability at that lower tax bracket. And we almost call this a valley because know that that probably has the chance at least to go back up later on in retirement. So when Social Security begins, if you have a pension when that begins, if you have any form of course, annuity or any other form of payment that's adding to your taxable income, this is probably going to bump your tax rate back up. It's a very unpleasant surprise that a lot of retirees have, that they're in a higher tax bracket in retirement than they had previously expected. So know that this might be the case. Another warning that I'll give you in terms of making these moves with these Roth conversions is you got to be wary of IRMA surcharges. All that really means is you have to be wary of bumping yourself up into a higher tax bracket in terms of how much you have to pay for Medicare. So as you probably know, Medicare starts at age 65. So depending on how much income the government sees me having 2 years prior, they're going to decide my bill on a monthly basis for Medicare. So again, let me grab a quick example. So the same guy that retired at 62 decides to start doing Roth conversions. And in the year that he turns 63, so 2 years prior to 65 when Medicare is set to begin, he takes out a massive Roth conversion, and that bumps his taxable income way up. 2 years later, when the government turns around and looks at what he was making 2 years prior, again, don't ask me why they do 2 years prior, that's just how it works. They say, okay, you took a massive income in this year, therefore you're going to have to pay more just to be a part of Medicare. This is what's known as the IRMA surcharge, if you've heard of that before. Essentially, you're just forcing yourself to pay sometimes a couple thousand per year just to be a part of Medicare. So that's one consideration I want you to make before having this Roth conversion discussion with your advisor. To finish off my what, why, where, when, how, the how is the easiest. As I mentioned, it's probably more ideal to do this with your tax professional or with your financial advisor. The reason is that you don't want to bump yourself up into a higher tax bracket, or you don't want to, of course, make your IRMA surcharge more expensive. You don't want to put yourself in a more difficult tax situation than you need to be. So that's something I want you to consider. I'm sorry if this video went a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but I hope this is something you consider. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me at this email here, and we can even run some projections for your specific situation. Again, with all this in mind, the important disclosure here is that do not consider doing this until you speak with your financial advisor. This is not financial advice, and I just want you to be wary of tripping any tax wires, as I kind of keep repeating. So I thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. If you have any questions, like I mentioned, feel free to email me, but I will see you next time, and thank you for your viewership.